So how do you turn £500,000 into a couple of grand? You nick it and you melt it down. And that's what happened here in 2011. We're in Dulwich Park, near where I run every day. That's why I'm running. And there used to be a fabulous sculpture just over behind these trees here called Fruit Two Forms Divided Circle by famous sculptor Barbara Hepworth, made in bronze. Sadly, someone broke through the gates at night in December, cut it off at the bottom and took it away, and it's almost certainly been turned into scrap metal, meaning that it's lost 99% of its value or thereabouts. Such a shame. These are the new sculptures that were commissioned, unveiled about 5 years ago. Now these are made out of cast iron, the same stuff you make out of covers in the street, and they've been reinforced with concrete inside them, which makes them pointless to steal and also incredibly difficult to steal as well. Let's hope these stay here a bit longer. I have to admit, it's not quite as nice as the original Barbara Hepworth, but there we go, there's a third piece just over here as well. But that's why these are here. And same thing happened elsewhere. There used to be a famous Henry Moore sculpture that was in Tower Hamlets. The mayor wanted to get rid of it, sell it for 20 million because they couldn't afford to insure it, and it was partly because of what happened here that they made that decision. Luckily that one was saved. Instead of being auctioned at Christie's, it was eventually taken over by Canary Wharf, and it's in the middle of the Canary Wharf centre at the moment. But that's why these sculptures in Dulwich Park are not the originals. This nondescript office block in the city of London hides a secret. And I've just been guiding down here, so let's have a look what's inside. You will not believe what's down here. Follow me down, follow me down. This is my fellow colleague Paul. We've just been guiding together. We're both members of the City of London Guides. There we go. And we have the privilege and honour of being able to guide in this Roman bathhouse and house. Just have a look at this. These are the tiles for the underfloor heating. This is some of the original tiles that have been found here with animal impressions in them as well. And this is what a bathhouse looked like. Let's go around the corner. You can see here it was actually built by the side of the River Thames. The Thames would have been literally just next to it. This is a wall down one side, and this is Kentish ragstone. And this is one of the flues for the hypercourse. At some point they must have blocked it off because this is actually in the way. It's been like it's turning off the radiators in your house when you no longer want to heat that particular room. And this lay uncovered in 1848. It was, this is the main section. This is the bathhouse itself. This is the hot room where you would have actually been so hot that you'd have to wear wooden clogs to stop the skin burning off your feet. This is where the furnace would have been to make the heat be tended in. Normally a slave would be operating this. This is the cold room, or the frigidarium, where you would go in to undress, maybe do some like exercise. This room is the same shape and dimensions of a Roman temple. So who knows, maybe this was a temple originally, and then they added the wings of the bathhouse later. One of the mysteries about this place is why was this section added in? Because this would originally have been the sort of main garden area, courtyard area that led out to the River Thames in front of here. So why add this ugly, monstrous bathhouse? Who knows? This is the tepidarium, the warm room, which would have had decorated walls in it. It's got some benches, nooks in it where you would have sat down to conduct business or whatever. And this is the bathhouse experience. So it lay undiscovered here until 1848. And it's now open on Saturdays. And City of London Guides will take people around. It's a 50-minute tour thereabouts at 11, 12 and 1 p.m. And I'm privileged enough to be one of the guides here, so please come down and have a look at the Roman bathhouse. So today is the anniversary, exactly in 1660, the 2nd of September, of the Great Fire of London, which happened in the baker's shop over here. And this is the monument that was created by Hooke and Wren to celebrate or commemorate the rebuilding of London after the Great Fire. And this is my own copy of a parliamentary inquiry into the causes of the Great Fire of London. Now, through the seat on which this person is sitting, there is an entrance to the secret laboratory that was created by Christopher Wren and Hooke to act as an observatory right up into a zenith, up into the skies. And it leads down, the actual laboratory is down here, underneath where the bags are. if you look all the way up here, it goes all the way to the top, and then they will take off the top, move it to one side, and you'd have a zenith telescope that would allow you to see the heavens, and it was meant to observe the heavens from up there. So anyway, it's exactly 1666. Today is the anniversary of the hugely important Great Fire of London. And on this side, by the way, look at this, it says it blames Popish priests and Jesuits. So that was the usual suspects of the time. This inscription here has a Latin phrase at the end of it, which has been chiselled out in 1820, which said that Popish frenzy, here it goes, but Popish frenzy, which wrought such horrors, is not yet quenched, 1830. So this whole anti-Catholic prejudice about who caused the Great Fire of London persisted for 170 years after it. And anyway, here we are. This is the anniversary of the starting of the Great Fire of London. This boy's willy has been shortened by about an inch to assuage public scandal. How come? Well, this is the original headquarters of London Transport, commissioned in the 1920s. And the architect commissioned a really famous artist, Jacob Epstein, to do two sculptures, one on each side of it. One called Night, around that side, which was not controversial, and this one called Day. And it was a public outrage. It was accused of being stereotypical, and basically the sculptor moulded it on site, so he was covered in scaffolding. He was up there for weeks on end and no one could see what he was doing. And when it was unveiled, basically there was a huge campaign to get it removed. Some people tried to tar and feather it. At one point, the head of London Transport had to issue his own, he offered to resign because of this sculpture. And eventually the artist Epstein clambered up here with a chisel and a hammer and knocked about an inch off the boy's manhood here, which seemed to put paid to all of the horrific campaigns against it. But the Guardian, Manchester Guardian, said it was designed to be so ugly that it would drive people through the doors into the underground to increase revenue of the underground. But this beautiful little chapel, tiny chapel, here in wonderful Guernsey, is decorated entirely out of broken pottery. It was started in 1923 by a French priest. It's the third one on this site. The other two were pulled down because they were too small, imagine. And it's been vandalised in 2014, I think, and lots of the locals in Guernsey have donated their own pottery to help decorate it. And it's absolutely stunning. It's on 3 floors. Let's go down to the next floor, shall we? Down the steps here. Isn't it absolutely stunning on such a lovely day? The light really brings it out. Here we go. Another altar. And you can make out the individual decorations. Imagine the pottery that made up this. There's a tiny little chapel model within the chapel just around the corner as well. Here we are, look at this. Looks like it's a cake, but it's actually made out of more stone, so it's a model of the tiny small chapel itself. And finally, we're leaving it, and here we go, the exit to the little chapel in Guernsey. The Magaret Thatcher, heating artist of this sculpture, left a secret Easter egg somewhere in it. Let me show you. So this was commissioned to provide a history of London, including a lot of connections to transport in particular. This is the ancient Roman tower. It's Roman wall, rather, showing the different gates that the Romans built. This is Boadicea, or Boudica, in 60 AD, not 61, mistake there. This is the Roman invasion. This is the first London Bridge. But hidden inside this sculpture, and it was only recognised after it had been unveiled, commissioned by London Transport. And I think while still Magaret Thatcher was actually Prime Minister, towards the end of her reign here. What else have we got? We've got the plague, we've got the gunpowder plot, we've got the Globe Theatre, but look here, hidden between the Wat Tyler's death on Smithfield, the Peasants' Revolt, and the Black Death. Look at this. It is, in all her glory, riding a cloud with her handbag swinging. It is Magaret Thatcher. What a surprise. A lovely Easter egg left here by the artist, whose name was Edwin Russell, I think. He also did the suffragette sculpture in Victoria on the way to Parliament as well. Hello, Maggie. This is where Les Miserables was written. It's also got a connection to the fantastic punk band The Stranglers and the band A Flock of Seagulls. How is this connected? Let me tell you. We are in Guernsey. We're just about to go into Victor Hugo's house, where he lived from 1855 to 1870, conducted many affairs with mistresses, etc., etc. here. It's also here that he wrote Les Miserables, which I have to admit is a dirge musical version. I hate it. All the songs sound the same. Anyway, enough about me. But he also wrote a song here called Toilers of the Sea, which was used by the Stranglers as the title for a song on their album Black and White, and which then the Stranglers themselves, a line from that song, A Flock of Seagulls repeated, was chosen by the electro-pop band A Flock of Seagulls because they were massive Stranglers fans, and was used as the title of their band. So this is what connects Victor Hugo to the band A Flock of Seagulls. Well, because of the book that he wrote here called Toilers of the Sea, about a man's gigantic struggle with a squid. Freddie Mercury loved cats. I hate them. This is some of the stuff that's being exhibited and auctioned today at Sotheby's. After I've seen the cats, the next thing you're going to see is the original lyrics to Bohemian Rhapsody, followed by, what else did I put up? Some clothing, I think. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore about this. Just to let you know, watch online the audition. Oh, how many cats. And by the way, you know that the hammer price that you pay at auctions isn't what you actually pay. Here we go. This is the Bohemian Rhapsody original lyrics. Let's have a close-up and see if we can read out what they actually said. So at the top it says, "Nothing really matters to me." And then I can see through here a bit further some of the words as well. "Time for goodbyes." And I'll leave that to you to read. And, oh no, why didn't I focus properly there? How annoying. I did a one take for this, by the way. Okay, well that's the Freddie Mercury line. And next we got the special royal dress that he wore for videos, including the crown at the top, as you can see here as well. And I've just remembered at the end of this, you've got the 5 Freddies in a row with their trademark moustaches, all dressed up, nowhere to go. But basically, Sotheby's, you have to pay on average, I think it's 25% on top of what's called the hammer price, as the auctioneer's price, which is how they make their money. Here we go, the first of the 5 Freddies. One's wearing like a mankini at the end. So you will pay roughly a quarter of the hammer price for everything else you buy, which I didn't discover until I bid on something at another auction house last year. I still bought it because it was so useful for my children. Anyway, this is what you would have missed if you haven't yet seen the Freddie Mercury auction objects at Sotheby's. I was there the second day. There was no queue for me, luckily. And just enjoy the wondrous items that Freddie Mercury had in his house. Well, why don't I carry on talking? As you say, you're listening to me. Okay, there's this sort of mankini type of thing. And yeah, this is actually wonderful stuff by Freddie Mercury. So I'm in the St. Irmine Hotel, and I've been told there is a secret tunnel here. I can go down.
Well, you won't be able to
get very far down there, but let's have a look. Oh my God. And this allegedly was a tunnel that used to lead all the way to the Houses of Parliament, the MPs to get back when the division bell used to ring in the lobby of the hotel. I'll show you the division bell as well. So basically the division bell is when you're due to turn up in the lobby. You don't want to bother listening to the debate because you know what party line you're going to vote for already. So you hang around the Houses of Parliament, come out to have your dinner or lunch or hotel or whatever. They would ring this bell with just enough time for you to run back and vote. A bit like text messages nowadays, you don't need them anymore, but This is the history of the division bell. This is also the spy hotel. See my other videos. And many MPs have been accused of being spies, including Robert Maxwell, John Stonehouse, and Tom Dryburgh. This is a minute copy of what the original London Bridge would have looked like in about the year 1400, when it was the only bridge across London, built around 1209 in stone. There's a little drawbridge as well. They've even got some of the heads of executed traitors on the pin here. The first one of which was William Wallace, Braveheart, that amazing Australian actor. Now, this, as I said, also has a little chapel here dedicated to Thomas of Becket, England's patron saint at this time, around 1400. It took about an hour to cross the bridge, allegedly, when it was so busy, and the watermen and lightermen had restrictive practices, which meant that there was no other bridge until 1750. So this is the only way to cross it, unless you had a boat. Also, the many piers on the bridge meant that the water behind it froze easily, which is why we had so many frost fares, as the water was so slow moving. It wasn't until 1831 that this was replaced with a much wider piers that the frost fares ceased. But here you go, this is a view all the way along London Bridge in about the year 1400. This is the close protection umbrella created by the Umbrellas of Cherbourg Company in 2011, designed for sort of a military style defence. You can see here it's more than 190 parts, carbon shaft, resistant to headwinds of 200 kilometres an hour and 100 kilograms of pressure, and it's designed for close protection of the head of the French Republic, amongst other things. It's designed to halt thrown objects, prevent dog attacks, drive back individuals, cover the face, and, as it quotes, preserve the privacy of the figure under protection. And it's only on sale on request, so I don't know how much it costs. And I don't know, I think I wouldn't be expecting it to resist bullets, obviously, but apart from that, it's pretty serious high-end protective cover. And we are in Cherbourg. If you've ever seen the film with Catherine Deneuve as the Umbrellas of Cherbourg, this is the factory that's taken that name, and I'm in the museum of it. And this is an absolutely wonderful place. Want to see a beautiful Victorian doll's house? Have a look at this. It took 5 years to make. It's called Lauren House, and it's on display in the museum in Guernsey, where I am today. And I'm just going to zoom in on each room in silence so you can admire it yourself and pause to see the details. And there's a doll's house inside the doll's house. Isn't that fantastic? This is an amazing grave in Nunhead Cemetery in southeast London. John Davis, a American Civil War veteran, has been buried here, and a few years ago they put his grave up. He was born in the UK, he went to America, volunteered for the Unionist side of the Civil War, was blown up in a ship which he survived, helped find John Wilkes Booth after the assassination of Lincoln apparently, became a prospector in Australia, came back to the UK, was a womanizer, alcoholic, then went on a religious conversion, became a missionary, a preacher. He founded the UK branch of the American Civil War Survivors Society, and then sadly died in 1917, and here he is. What an incredible history behind this side-lined grave in a corner of Nunhead Cemetery, and I'm so happy that I found it. The first ever head put on a spike at the end of London Bridge belonged to this man, William Wallace, who was decapitated by King Edward I after his trial in the Palace of Westminster, as portrayed in this 1851 painting. Now, the Guildhall Art Gallery used to have the statue of Magaret Thatcher just in this corner of the room. In 2002, her statue was also decapitated and the head knocked off by a protester, a theatre director called Paul Kelleher, who came into the gallery with a cricket bat stuck down his trousers to try and knock it off. So it's ironic that we have one hero decapitated, to the Scots at least, and then a slightly more divisive figure, maybe, who also ended up having her image decapitated here centuries later. This is a Nazi forgery from the Second World War designed to destroy the British economy. My name is David, I'm the London Spy, and this is one of the things that I show people on my tours of London, especially at the Bank of England. So the Nazis recruited, or forced rather, significantly gifted forgers from amongst the Jewish communities of various concentration camps, including Auschwitz. They wanted to create fake notes to be dropped and to overwhelm with additional money supply the British economy. These notes are amongst the most perfect ever forged of the old British notes, and I was very lucky enough to find this in a note shop in London who guaranteed its fake authenticity for me. The project was called Operation Bernhardt, and you can Google it on Wikipedia, so I won't bore you with the full details there, which you can find, but just to say this is a sample of the sort of things that I love to show people, illustrating London history by objects when I'm doing my tours of London, which I hope to see you on one of them at one point. Anyway, Operation Bernhardt, fake Nazi money. So, have you heard of MI9? MI5 and MI6 everyone knows about. The MI9 was in the Second World War designed to help with escape and evasion. And the equipment in this cabinet, although it's about Special Operations Executive, SOE, and we are in the hotel in which SOE was founded, the St. Ermin's Hotel, the specialist escape and evasion equipment that they designed is also part of what was issued to agents in the field. So, for example, these flying boots were designed to be cut away if you landed, so that you could then walk around as if you were a normal everyday civilian without having flown on your mission. They would hide compasses inside these buttons on people's shirt collars. They would also give you silk maps that you would put into your clothing as well. And some of the other spy equipment here would have been escape and evasion in prisoner of war camps, like in Colditz. You would give them this simple chess set, but hidden underneath it was a secret compartment which would include maps or all sorts of other escape equipment as well. These coins were designed for agents in the field with these little knives hidden inside them that could be spin out at a minute to attack people as well. You also had a hidden knife inside this hairbrush as well for agents to use. and also inside these pikes you had again concealed blades, a gun hidden inside this book as well, and inside this hairbrush, a saw, and another compass as well. So all this is special equipment designed in World War II by MI9 for escape and evasion, and in other cases for use by agents in the field dropped behind enemy lines by these Lysander aircraft. This horrific object is a World War I German flamethrower. Two operators would use it. One person would strap this fuel container to their back, and then the other one at the end, look how long the pipe goes. It goes all the way down here, all the way down here, it curves back again until ending just here. So this is the end of the flamethrower. As I said, two people would have to operate it. It would project up to 10 bursts of horrific blazing fuel for up to 30 meters away. And it was a pioneering piece of equipment made by the Germans, as I said, towards the end of the First World War. What a horrific instrument of war to imagine in operation. This is the London that could have been Paris after the Great Fire of 1666. This is the plan that within 5 days of the end of the Great Fire, Sir Christopher Wren had created for a new London, rational, logical, geometrical, sweeping away the old historic medieval street plan. And it was even approved by King Charles II himself. As you can read here, it says, a plan for rebuilding the city of London after the Great Fire in 1666, designed by that great architect Sir Christopher Wren and approved by the King and Parliament, but unhappily defeated by faction. So what happened? Okay, so no sooner had the fire burnt down than people were out with their pegs and bits of string trying to mark out where their houses had been. But unfortunately, there was no trace. In most cases, even the deeds had been blown up or exploded by the flames. And so, despite the fact that not only Christopher Wren designed this plan, but other people like Hooke and Evelyn had their own plans, it couldn't happen. It wasn't really defeated by faction. It was more defeated by people squabbling. And in fact, they had to get these fire judges, 22 of them, to sit for months on end without pay, in order to make quick decisions about who would be allowed to build their houses back again where. But this sadly meant that Christopher Wren didn't manage to create his new rational modern London. However, he did in fact have a massive influence on London because he created his own London skyline. Look at this original. This is like less than 100 years later. You can see what London looked like here. Every single one of these is a Christopher Wren or one by Hawksmoor Church, including St Paul's Cathedral here as well. All of them completely distinct. Look how separately different his steeples and towers were. That was his unique genius. And look, you can even see the heads on the end of London Bridge. He really then created a new London that lasted in this form really until the beginning of the 20th century, when the first skyscrapers started to erect. The ironic thing, of course, is that Wren's vision was to create just a new London within the boundaries of the wall itself. But in fact, his legacy still affects modern-day London massively because of this. This is the sightlines that have been controlled by access to St Paul's Cathedral. So although he only intended to rebuild the central west city of London, he still controls how you can build all the way these different visionary routes along modern-day London are completely dictated, including things like the cheese grater that's on an angle to allow people to see through to the cathedral. And that's why his legacy still persists. This genius, Wren, 300 years this year, his anniversary of his death. And as I said, he still dictates modern London through the control of access to St Paul's Cathedral. So a little potted history about Christopher Wren here. One more thing to say is I have this book that I bought last year. It is, as you can read, it is a parliamentary inquiry into the causes of the Great Fire of London. And it goes through, it's full of, this is genuine 1667. It's full of interviews with people who confessed to putting the fire, or they saw their neighbours acting suspiciously. I'll pause a few pages so you can read them yourself if you want to pause it. Absolutely fascinating document here, including the very last page is a confession that was found inside a letter that had been left in in a church, if I can get it open without ripping the very delicate pages here. Have a look at this. And it's brilliant. So there we go. So Christopher Wren, as I said, he wanted to create a new London like this, but he was managed to destroy his plans, but he rebuilt London that controlled skylines to St Paul's even now. I've just found something rather wonderful in this street in Knightsbridge. It's called Raphael Street, and just look at this. I saw these marks in the brick here, and then I stood back, and at first I thought it had been cut off. Whoops, sorry about that. It had been cut off and there was a building bit on it, but in fact it was actually meant to be exactly like this. Let's have a look at it. It's called The Innocence of Childhood, and it's a brick relief by an artist called Richard Kindersley, who's done lots of work in the City of London, and it's a child's eye view of a street. And he's won all sorts of awards for his brick sculptures, and I think it's fantastic, but I didn't notice it at first walking through here. But obviously as a guide you do tend to suddenly realise what's around you. So this is a wonderful child's eye view of a busy London street, and it's called The Innocence of Childhood. And I love the details, including the roller skates this child's wearing, the little dog over there, and it's in a rather sort of a busy street. It's called Raphael Street, and I think it's, as I said, rather wonderful. So this extraordinary measure shows the story of the war in feet and inches. If you look closely, you can see here that at the beginning of the war you had to be 5'3" to join, but so many people rushed in that eventually they shortened it, so it lengthened it rather to make it 5'6", which may be my height, because so many people tried to join up. But then I suspect as people began to realise what was happening on the trenches, they lowered it again to 5'4", and then even to 5'3", and finally to 5'2", because they were so desperate for more recruits to join. Imagine being 5'2". And here is a poster for the so-called Bantam tiny regiments that were recruited to join the army. And finally they called these short regiments the Bantam Battalions. And here's a photograph of the Bantams being wingmen, and here's another poster. Lots of fun, make the hunt. This was the original design for the London Underground map, created by an electrical draftsman called Beck, Harry Beck, in 1933. So instead of trying to create like a spatial relationship that included the distances between tube stations, his brilliant idea was to instead make it a programmatical version based on a fuse diagram. So as you can see here, the links between the stations don't represent the distances. It's all about the relationship with them, including the junctions, the intersections, and how best to travel to reach your journey by making the correct changeovers as well. And these are actually hand annotated by him himself, including his changes slightly smaller to the stations, and they can be bought from Daniel Crouch, the booksellers, for £50,000. It's just exceptional. They've also got at the bottom of the case a couple of extra layouts when he was trying to work out the Victoria extension, I've been told, apparently. Also how to represent the multiple crosses, such as the four different stations at King's Cross, for example. So this is a really historical and a trailblazing explanation of the spatial relationships between transport links, which I think revolutionised the whole way in which transport was depicted globally. And it was all due to a man whose background was electronics, a draftsman, realising that he should actually create a plug diagram to represent London Underground. There's an incredible exhibition of rock photography on at the moment in the Barbican Library. I've been told that it's not you're allowed to take photographs of these or videos, so I'm going to show you them and how many of these iconic images or people can you recognise. It's just absolutely stunning. It's all by a charity called rockarchive.com. Jill Fomanowski was a founding member, and there's a huge selection of photographs here from iconic bands and album interiors and covers. I bet you recognise where this one comes from. Just look, so if you get the chance to come to the Barbican and knock yourself out looking at the incredible variety of absolutely the best rock photographs taken in the world, you won't be disappointed. Sorry about the glare on a lot of these, but there's not much I can do about that. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and just look through them all for you. Pre-tattoos. Good old Jarvis. I don't recognise this person though, so let me know if you recognise them. And my favourite photograph in the entire collection is this one here. It's Jimi Hendrix, absorbed totally in looking at the sheet music from an edition of Blonde and Blonde by Bob Dylan. This is a water-damaged original negative, and this is it after digital retouching. And here's some more detail about it. Absolutely stunning. Come to the Barbican Library. There is just one word written on the entire exterior of St Paul's Cathedral, and I'm going to show you what that word is and what it means. So the cathedral was built after the devastating Great Fire of London in September 1666 that laid London to the ground. 13,500 buildings were destroyed, just under 100 churches, and the old medieval St Paul's Cathedral was destroyed as well. The old cathedral was much taller than this one is. It was as tall as the modern day post office tower is. And one word, as I said, is written on it. Can you see the phoenix first of all? Well, underneath the phoenix, can you see one word there? That word is resurgam, which is Latin. And I'll tell you what it means. That word was found on a tombstone that was uncovered in the excavation of the cathedral by one of the stonemasons or the workers here. And it means, I will rise again. And it's become the unofficial motto of London ever since, dealing with all the disasters, Great Fire of London, the plague before them, the Blitz, etc, etc. And it's a suitable symbol, really, being the only word written on the entire exterior of the greatest building in the country, St Paul's Cathedral. This tiny scrap of paper is the most precious possession in the entire archives of the City of London. Even more precious than their copy of Magna Carta, which used to be on display here until recently. What is it? It is the Charter of King William the Conqueror. It's written in Old English, and its translation, that you can read, is here. I can't do the accent, unfortunately, but essentially it was granted to the City of London in 1067, the year after the Norman invasion, and it recognises the ancient rights and privileges of the City of London. So without this, effectively, London wouldn't exist. And London was saved from the Norman invasion. It wasn't conquered by King William. In fact, he let it alone. He stopped at the boundaries and recognised the importance of safeguarding the wealth and trading links of the City of London. And this document basically says, amongst other things, each child will be his father's inheritance taker after his father's day. and I will not suffer that any man, you, do any wrong. God, you keep. And this is the official seal here of King William the Conqueror too. So this document enshrines London, and without it, London would not exist. It's impossible not to think about the Roman Empire when you're in the Colosseum, the fantastic home of English National Opera in the centre of Westminster. In particular because it's full of Roman objects, such as these charioteers here. But what interests me are these round plaques around it. Now, I can't zoom in enough for you to read it, but I assure you, this one says Cicero and Clodius, and this one says Caesar and Pompey. And for those who know your Roman history, Caesar and Pompey were part of the triumvirate, and it makes sense, but Clodius and Cicero, I have no idea why they should have been linked together in any way, as they were sort of enemies, really. And in fact, in my A-level Latin, I studied Procardio, in which Cardius had been accused of murdering Clodius, and Cicero was defending him. So why on earth they've been yoked together randomly in the theatre here, I have no idea. The theatre was made by a man called Frank Matcham, who designed so many fantastic theatres in London. But my feeling is that he just cobbled together a lot of different imagery relating to Roman history without really having much around it to know what it's about. I'd also like to find out whose heads are on here as well. They look more late Italian than Roman to me, but I'll see what I can find out. This is one of the largest paintings in the country, and certainly here in the Guildhall Art Gallery, where I have been guiding today. As usual, the gallery is empty because no one ever comes here, sadly. Anyway, this is called The Defeat of the Floating Batteries of Gibraltar, 1782, painted by an American artist called John Singleton Copley, and it depicts the night after the failed invasion by the Spanish ships of the island of Gibraltar. Gibraltar is strategically important. It commands the straits between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic, and if you control it, you control the fleets passing by, and Britain ruled the wave at this point. But the Americans in the War of Independence had significantly depleted the British forces around the world, and therefore the Spanish thought this was a golden opportunity to retake Gibraltar, which had been ceded to the British in about 1715 or thereabouts. And they created a new type of technology, which is called the floating batteries, which are these boats over here. They double thickened one side of the hull, they double cannoned it and left no cannons on the other side, and they towed these out to face the British hot potatoes, which were the cannons that the British used to double heat the shot into, which meant that they could destroy and set fire to any boats that dared attack them. They besieged it for 3 years, and this was their final throw of the dice. Sadly, the British had spies inside the dockyards and worked out how to defeat these floating batteries. They double heated the cannonball to twice the normal temperature in their furnaces before firing them, which meant that though they'd double thickened the hulls, they'd ran wet sand through them and pipes with salt water to deflect and stop attacking with fire. The boat, it didn't work, and the boats caught alight and blew up with huge firepower. This is the morning after the battle, as it were, and you can see here the British general in his munificence is gesturing towards the small boats that he sent across to save the poor stricken Spanish and French sailors. In the background you can see the tents that they had been camping in with to wait the invasion. The artist Copley was American, but he actually sympathised with the British, and he lived here the rest of his life, so he supported the British against the Americans, whereas the city of London itself, where we are now, actually supported the Americans generally in the American War of Independence. John Wilkes, the famous radical politician, was funded by the Americans in his election campaigns, and he was influential in the creation of the First Amendment to the American Constitution. So we have a double meaning here. Anyway, we're just touching the surface of this painting. By the way, the artist bankrupted himself travelling around Europe painting the individuals in the pictures. This particular soldier here, as you can see, has a fallen face, which suggests he was suffering from Bell's palsy or maybe from a stroke, but it shows the accuracy with which the artist depicted all of the troops in this rather wonderful painting. And the gallery was actually built to accommodate this painting. The painting was wrapped up and taken away just weeks before the original gallery was destroyed in the Second World War during the Blitz. And it's one of the chief treasures if you visit the nearly always empty Guildhall Art Gallery. Right, so this is one of the most extraordinary buildings in the City of London. From this side, it's clearly a sort of brutalist concrete post-war 50s monster. By the way, this is my bike, yes, and I have noticed the sign, but I'll be very quick. So we passed this brutalism. Basil Spence, I believe, was the architect here. And it's the Institute of Chartered Accountants for England and Wales, ICAEW. But then if we go around the corner, suddenly, what on earth happens to the brutalism? You come to the late Victorian building, Recte something or other. Anyway, and it is, on this side, a very standard classical late Victorian building. So it's got a real schizophrenic approach towards its architecture. You've got industry, commerce, all sorts of friezes here representing endeavour and all the arts and crafts and work like that. But there we go, 1930. This section of it was built, but actually it's in two stages, and the bit round the corner was built quite a bit earlier than that. But I just love the way. We've got India and the colonies, we've got shipping, we've got railways, whoops, about the rubbish there. And on the front, we've got the much wider section of it, which, by the way, 1870, this was where the Institute was founded. So the front of the building, we've got a much, much earlier late Victorian structure, mining, agriculture, manufacturing, etc., etc. Anyway, I just absolutely love the way that they've turned one building effectively into two, showing the history of early and 20th century and late 19th century architecture. So old jokes tend to be really unfunny. If you read an old joke in a magazine, you think, oh, why did people laugh at it? Well, I've actually found one in here that is really funny, and it's still told nowadays, and I bet each person who thinks of it thinks they're the first person who said it. This is from 1826, and it's all about, I bought it because of this, the elephant Chunni, whose tragic death, you can read about it here, caused such concern in within the force of London that it eventually led to the creation of the RSPCA. But reading through it, and this is all about the elephant's tragic death, and again you can pause and read for yourself the horrible story of Chunni's fate, because it is absolutely tragic, really, and it horrified England at the time. And here's some more anecdotes about the elephant. Anyway, look at this really funny joke, and it's just here. So a Parisian lady who was married to an English gentleman, at breakfast one morning with her spouse, after eating toast and a variety of other things, asked him in French for an egg, un œuf, to which he punningly replied, "My love, haven't you had un œuf already?" And everyone makes that joke, even nowadays. So 1826, this may not be the first time it appeared, but anyway, it's still funny. If you want to see the best comedy club in London, in my opinion, this is it. We're in leafy Sydenham. Well, there's a couple of leaves on that tree anyway. And it's called the Poodle Club. It's London's happiest little comedy club. And tonight I'm seeing an amazing bill. Let's have a look inside the venue. Ticket office. It's a tiny little club run by real comedy enthusiasts who are passionate about making sure it's a wonderful evening. There is a poodle here, eponymously. This is Karen, the owner, and Darren, the owner. And these are some guests, and this is James, my friend. And look at the variety of comedians who have performed in this club. So we have had, quite recently, Shazia Mirza, Arthur Smith, who's a grumpy old man, Esther Manito, Bobby Mayer, Gordon Southern, Fern Brady, I loved Fern, I saw her last night. Michael Legg, Ben Norris, my friend Juliet and her dog Homer. David Mills, brilliant. Susan Murray, she's fantastic. Susie Bennett, Archie Maddock, Paul Taylor, etc. Phil Nicol, winning the Perrier Award, Tony Law. There's just an enormous variety of fantastic comedians who have appeared at this club. And I have even worked here myself as a magician when they were a bit short on one night. Anyway, tonight I'm going to be seeing one of my favourite comedians in the world. His name is Paul Foote, and he's showing his hit Edinburgh show. So if you want to come to a wonderful comedy club in London, make your way to the Poodle Club. So I have the immense privilege today to be given a sneak preview of the new exhibition opening on the 29th of September in the Guildhall Art Gallery of the gold and silver wire drawers treasures. And one of the assistant curators, Leslie, has offered to help show us round today.
Well, this has been, it's taken sort of, we started off with 3 of us mostly, and then it progressed, and we have a wonderful team who have helped, and it has been quite incredible. It's taken 2 years, but we are almost there. I'm very, very excited.
Excellent. So what's this?
This is the Fishmonger's Pal. It was made in 15, I think it took from 1512 to 1530 to actually complete, because it's the most incredible gold. This is all gold work and different colours, absolutely fantastic. And what it was used, you probably think, why do fishmongers want a pal? Well, it was very simple, that if a master, which didn't happen very often, died while he was master, he could have this on his coffin. Brilliant. For the funeral.
Excellent. Okay, what's next?
Next is, well, we can't really show the Bacton watercloth at the moment.
No worries, I'll come back.
Yes, this is a good example of recycling, which happened a lot. This is Lady Marian Alford. This was parts of it are her wedding dress, and she started a needleworks group in Little Gaddesden. Mm-hmm. And from that, she progressed to the Kensington embroidery sector, and with Princess Louise and others, they started the Royal School of Needlework.
How amazing. I have a friend who has studied there. Okay. So, right, let's look over here then, shall we?
Here is this wonderful, wonderful picture, which we are very privileged was left here. We tried
from the previous exhibition, yeah,
yes,
Big London.
We tried to borrow it originally, and they said, no, it's far too big, and we couldn't possibly move it up here. But then, once it was up here...
They left it for you.
Yes, and this is our wonderful Yeoman of the Guard. He is going to greet everybody.
Ah, fantastic.
Magnificent. Really, really good.
Okay, so these different elements...
And this was George in the reign of the King, of George V.
Excellent. I see. GR for George.
Yes, GR.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move on. I'm so excited, I have to say.
Here is Queen Mary's coronation dress.
From 1688?
No, Queen Mary.
Ah, not...
when George V became
Ah, not
king.
wrong. Well, it's a big mistake there.
Yeah, in 1911.
Wrong with Mary. Very
yes,
good.
In 1911.
That's good. Yes, it looks far too modern for the 17th century.
Yes, but beautiful embroidery.
It is.
And then this is from the Wardour Chapel Trust, and it's called the Westminster Chastable. It is incredible because it was made originally for Henry VIII's father in the 15th century, and then when Henry VIII married Catherine of Aragon, they added the pomegranates and the Tudor roses. So it's quite a magnificent...
It's astonishingly old.
Yes.
And it's so well preserved as well.
Well, this is why all these things need conservation, and that also means that they are all looking for help. And,
incredible.
Yes, this is the most beautiful, beautiful work. This is from Westminster Cathedral, and both of these, because these things got, especially this one, would have got saved when we had all the trouble in the 1600s.
I was wondering,
with the Catholics
and the Puritans.
Yes, definitely. definitely.
I'm surprised they survived. You know, it's,
Well,
because all the regalia were melted down in the in.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This is again from St Paul's. It's your veils, your purse, your stole.
The pelican
You-
pecking its
yes.
own blood. Yeah.
Yes, to feed the little ones.
Absolutely.
This is it.
Okay.
And then this is Charles III and Elizabeth II's gold state trumpeters tunic.
There. Oh, they belong to the household cavalry. Okay.
These have all got to go up. So
Yeah.
I mean, we have got to put things on the walls. We're not quite.
Right. Okay. So they will be having more explanation. So this coat is worn underneath
Yes,
this one.
should be under there, but we felt it lives in the dark most of the time, that it would be very nice just for once for people to see how beautiful it is.
That's absolutely fabulous.
Now you're going to ask me which is what.
No, don't worry. If you don't, we'll skirt over some things.
Yes.
There's too much, to be honest.
Yes, this is it.
This is a jockey's outfit.
This is the jockey's. This was George VI originally. Then the Queen took it over, and now the King has taken over the same colours. And it was very lucky at Ascot. His horse, Desert Hero, won. And so they're very happy picture down there.
Fantastic. So would he be wearing this? Is this
Yes.
that's the original one that was worn by the jockey?
Well, no, not necessarily.
No, but yeah, but of that
I'm saying
type,
they kept exactly the same style.
Yeah, understood.
You know, they're very
Okay.
keen horsemen.
All right.
And
Now
this is Dickens, Charles Dickens. He only ever wore it once when he had to attend. I've tried to remember
Don't worry, I'll look
what
it up
what he was attending, but he was attending one, and that was the only time it was ever worn.
He was quite slim, wasn't he, as well?
Oh
He was-
yes, very
quite
slim.
a
He
nice
wasn't
figure.
very tall, right?
Right. Okay.
This one is either a speaker's. It is for the principals, the justice, and amazing work. And these are done by Eden Ravenscroft.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing,
absolutely.
amazing people.
Okay. And these are all Masonic.
Then this is Masonic, and on this we have the Duke of Clarence before he became William IV. We have the Duke of Kent's banner, the current Duke of Kent's banner, and we have George VI regalia.
Right. Okay. This is the famous coat from St
There
Paul's,
is,
or
yes,
the Jubilee coat.
for 1977. Absolutely fantastic.
With every single church in the city of London and beyond.
And beyond, way beyond. And this is the fun of this cape. I mean, if we had more room, we would have it all the way up, because you know you're looking at Kentish Town. You see, you know, St Albans, the Martyr. You've got
the Temple, St Pancras, St James Muswell Hill. Yeah,
Yes.
all over London. Fantastic.
Yes, but there are three on there that are outside.
Right.
And so that was, I think we have Westminster Abbey. We have three. Then the Prussian coat.
Right. Okay, let's go around the corner. So this is where we're coming to the film.
Now this is a complete contrast. We start off with Darcy Bustle's Tutu when she played Sylvia, and it was designed on Margot Fontaine playing the same role. This is Helen Mirren when she played Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra. And we have the Richard II's outfit that was worn by David Tennant when he these of course from the Royal Shakespeare Company. Then this is from Angels. We have for the Crown series, we have the dress that Claire wore as when she played Queen Elizabeth's, and this is for the coronation.
Okay.
And is an exact replica of it. And then we have the suit that Matt Smith wore at the coronation.
Fantastic. And here's the still showing them both at the time. Isn't that incredible?
Yes.
Okay. And then
This is military. These are some of the older ones. This was actually Fiennes, the relative of Fiennes, and it's the Fiennes family that allowed us to have this, because he was a group captain he was the first group captain of the 101 Squadron.
okay.
And then this is our Clark's regalia.
Right. Okay.
And this is a Neapolitanic outfit, which was again provided. These are undressed at the moment.
They're going to have extra things added later.
Loads of extra things which we're doing. This is actually Mark Dennis, who was our our previous clerk, Mark Dickens, so not
Yeah,
Dennis.
I know him.
Mark Dickens,
yeah.
yes. And this is his father's. His father was on the boat that took the young princesses to South Africa, and he had to play with them and look after them as a junior officer.
Okay.
This is a mix of jewellery that is from, some of it is from the Goldsmiths Company, have very kindly loaned us, and other pieces are made by our own
It's just like a fabric. Does it bend and move
Yes,
like it's like a
yes.
bit of cloth?
Yes, well, this is it. You're amazed, and if you look at this dress with the modern thing, this is embroidery. That is all gold.
Yeah.
Her firebrand dress. And you look at the quality and the crown and the silver work here on this.
That's fantastic. You never know what you'll find in some of these city buildings. I've just walked into this place. It's called Revolution, and there's something very, very strange in the crypt, in the vault. Let's see what we can find. So this used to be a bank in the city of London. I think that it was a Midland Bank, because you've got the M in the woodwork here. And every fourth Sunday they have a very special sex club, I've been told, going here as well. I probably won't be going to it, to be honest, but there you go. It's advertising. They welcome masters, mistresses, dominants, subs, slaves, cross-dressers, ponies, puppies, pets and other fetishes. London Alternative Market. And let's see what we find down in the basement. Right, so what have we got here? Very, very Art Deco style. Yeah, we've got the Stig here. No idea. What's the book? One that plays it today. Yeah, 1927. But we get down to the staircase. I might speed this up in the film. And suddenly you find yourselves staring at the wonderful original 1920s bank vault. 1920s cast iron bank vault here. Very, very secure. Inside of which, look at the size of that. Incredible. Inside that we have the metal gates. We have all these security boxes here that would have been full of personal possessions that people would have kept all sorts of treasures in at the time as well. And come finally through the little security office here where the clerk, I suppose, would have been making notes. Another dark area here. And finally we make our way into the modern day bar. I'm David Harry, I am the London Spy. This is London. And please follow me if you like the videos. Click on the links to follow my TikTok and come and see me at one of my tours.